So the COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally changed the way we work. While we work from home became a new normal and people had more time with themselves, but as people go back to office, the rush, the stress and the exhaustion at work is actually quite fast catching up. In fact, reports suggest that burnout among the employees is on the rise across the world. And on to the ET Money show today, we'll decode what exactly is a burnout and how to spot the early signs and what you should do in order to come out of it. Let's bring on board Mr. Dr. Fabian Almeida, who is the consultant psychiatrist at Fortis Hospital, Kalyan. And very good evening, Mr. Almeida. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. My first question, let's keep it very basic. What the term burnout really means? Because for a lot of us, on a day-to-day basis, we just keep working out. We just keep working on the normal day-to-day activities, be it professional related or be it some other task of the day. But what exactly this burnout means and what are the signs of the burnout?
Like you said, keeping it basic, the name itself decodes as losing your spark, losing that fire, and therefore probably burned out. And this is more a phenomenon seen at work because of long standing stress. So it is an occupational phenomenon to be looked out for. Pandemic and post-COVID, it has been a much higher feature that has been seen because the lines of the boundaries between working at home and your personal and professional life that has blurred. So you experience mental and physical problems, and that has now increased. Statistics have shown that the numbers have increased. And having said that, we see that women are more prone as compared to men to the burnout issue.
Okay, so that's an interesting fact that Mr. Almeida is highlighting, that women are more prone for this particular burnout. But Dr. Almeida, what are the symptoms to catch that one is actually feeling that burnout, and that's the time when they should rest at least for some time and make a point or at least note what's happening around them?
If you look at the symptoms, we could probably divide them into physical and mental or psychological. So when we talk about physical, there is a tiredness that you feel with your muscles, with your body. There is a listlessness that you feel. And because of that, you cannot cope with your hectic schedules and your deadlines, your time frames. You also realize that you fall ill pretty frequently because your immunity is down, and therefore the comorbidities of health issues then increase. Now, having said that, the psychological factors bring in a tiredness of the mind as well. There is emotional fatigue, and therefore mood swings become common, irritability is high, it could be aggression also, and sometimes violence at work. It can be moods that are between being angry, sad, depressed, afraid, insecure. Your sleep is something you lose out on. Your appetite also tanks. And all of this brings about a lowered self-esteem as well. You could have hopelessness, helplessness, and worthlessness. So there are a combination of symptoms of the mind and the body that come to the fore, and these are red flags to keep in mind.
Okay, Dr. Almeida, before I come to the question on how to cure or get away with this burnout, let me ask you on how grave this situation could become, because what you are telling is quite disheartening to see, because people deal with not just with mental or some physical health pressures, and sometimes they tend to keep all of these factors at play to themselves. They don't share it to somebody. So on that front, how grave this situation actually becomes? What are some of those extreme cases that you have witnessed in the past? And along with that, how much time in general does it take for a person who is getting this burnout to recover from that?
So it's no one size fits all. It depends from person to person on your mental makeup and, of course, your physical strength and immunity. But burnout opens the gates to disease and disorder. because there's also a science in the burnout. Your cortisol levels, or the stress hormone that is there, that has increased. Your serotonin levels are going down. There is dopamine depletion that happens. Your endorphins, or your happy hormones, they are not working too well. They also get distorted. So on a scientific frame, you become diseased, and this can take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. It is like stretching yourself. It's that rubber band. You've stretched yourself so much. And because of the pressures and deadlines that we face, we tend to ignore ourselves. Especially women, they would look at everybody else and take care of others at office or at home, but neglect themselves. And therefore, this can come with a bang then. It is something that we need to take note of.
Well, now that we know that what are the signs of the burnout, there's a famous saying that prevention is better than cure. So let's come on that. Dr. Almeida, what are the cures that one should be looking out for? Because you have touched upon a lot of factors at play, and especially the women, how they are more vulnerable to having this burnout. So what are the checkpoints that they need to mention when they are pointing out their red flags, and what are the things that they need to take into consideration?
I think the most important key point here is balance. We need to bring balance, and balance is beautiful. So we can work well, we can give it our best at our work front, but not at the expense of our health, of mind or body. Striking a balance would mean having a great routine, having time for exercise, and if you can put in mindfulness and meditation, that grounds you even better to take on more stress probably. So self-care, as they say, isn't selfish. Make time for yourself to balance in and bring in the moderation that is required. Even at work, try and see that work does not get boring. Bring in a little fun factor at work. In fact, most of the new companies would have either a workout room or a gym on the campus of the office itself, so that people can take in breaks and they can manage to help themselves while at work and get in some exercise to be fit. Fitness is definitely something that helps your mind and body. Watching your diet, what you eat, how much, and when you eat, having regular times with your diet, a protein rich diet as well, emotional hygiene and sleep hygiene. Getting that sleep is important. What we see now mostly is people working really hard with their deadlines at work and then coming back and being on the Netflix or on their mobiles and binge watching so much that they hardly get enough of sleep. And it's time for another day's routine to start. So get your beauty sleep 6 to 8 hours. If you can get a power nap in between, that is also very helpful. Delegate, seek support. It's nice when we try to work in as a team so that all the load is not what you have to share. And like we say smartly, so if you see the signs of burnout in yourself or in any of your colleagues, no shame, no stigma. Reach out for help. And as we've all learned early, a stitch in time saves nine.
Well, surely that's a wise advice coming in, how you should catch up some more sleep, your beauty sleep for 6 to 8 hours, and how you should go and ask for help, be it from your colleagues or your family members. But Dr. Almeida, you did touch upon the diet factor, and I want to highlight, because when somebody is having stress, so this term stress eating is quite very common. How to deal with that, because sometimes we just don't realize that we are intaking so many calories. Maybe it's that's just a mood that we want to have something that we like the most, or we feel maybe for many people that's chocolate, for instance. So how to control that? And secondly, what are some of the other diet plans that one should follow, or at least try including in their diet, which can help them reduce the stress level?
Yes, though I may not be the expert in the diet sector, but nevertheless, the few tips that we can keep in mind is, like I said, have balanced meals and have them on time. No matter if you have a meeting to rush to or whatever, if it's your lunchtime and you don't have time for your lunch, at least slip into a fruit and break into a glucose biscuit. That would help you. Now, what type of snacks we keep around our table is also important, because, as you rightly said, comfort eating, stress eating, emotional eating, these are all ways that we try to help ourselves with. And that cannot be the right way possible all the time. A good point to remember is every Sunday, stand on your scales and just get an idea of your weight. It's important to know if you're heading north or south. And if that is so, we need to help ourselves. We can have cheat days once a week, but then it is best to avoid the deeply fried foods, the empty calories, the high calories, and the junk food that's there. So if you abstain for some time, say a week, you can have a cheat day every week or every 2 weeks. Protein rich foods are good. You know what they usually say? Chana, kurmura, shengdana. If you get this around your place, this is good for your protein rich food, and it's a snack bite that helps you too. Fruits, fiber, fruit salads, lots of water. That water is the simple ingredient that you can do every probably 45 minutes to an hour. Make sure you get up, go to your water cooler, or have a glass of water. That's also a break for the body. It's a bio break, and it also helps you to keep your fluid intake in check. Simple things, but it makes a world of a difference.
Okay, that's actually fun having you, Dr. Almeida, because you are using those terms, which is quite very relatable. But that brings me to the last question for you, is that a lot of us don't realize the importance of taking leaves from the work. On an average, what will be your word of advice to all our viewers out there, that how important it is and what all additional factors that one should be looking out for? It's not just spending some money on a vacational trip, but how does it actually impacts your physical and mental strength? What will be your advice on this?
I think that's a pointed question, well in place. Uh, they say God rested on the seventh day after he worked for 6 days. In all wisdom, we get a holiday, a weekly holiday, and some of you all are fortunate to have it, probably a 5 day week. So, what you do on that weekly holiday is also something that outlines your levels of stress or your outburn that can happen, that burnout that can bring doom for you. So, your Sundays, your Saturdays, your midweek holiday, whatever you get, make sure you get your share of relaxation and entertainment. Make sure you sleep well. Give some time for yourself to reach out with family and friends. Connecting with people and having great conversations are a great way of keeping your mental balance in check. So make sure you get all of this on those holidays that come in every week. And then, yes, as demand of the family, or as you can plan your summers, your winters, your seasonal holidays, it's not necessary that everyone needs to go to Switzerland. You can have a perfect holiday in Satara as well. It's where you go is not so important as what you do and the people you spend time with. And having said that, I think I would also recommend some personal time and vacation too. I, for one, would take a 2, 3 day holiday for myself, being all alone, also to reduce the chaos in my life and make time for introspection, for review, and to see how fast am I going? Do I need to pause, and how much I need to help myself? So bring in that mindfulness, bring in that meditation, make use of your vacations. They can be micro vacations as well, but make use of them and be around with family and friends.
Absolutely, Dr. Almeida. But for doctors as well as journalists, I feel that there's no time for the job, and we always have to be on our toes to serve the duty. But it was really great having you, Dr. Almeida, onto the show on this Friday to help us viewers understand what exactly is burnout and what are those red flags that you should be looking out for and how to deal with that. Thanks a ton.